these, or the places, the haunted house, the Miami Inn. I mean, any, the covered, the raised bridges. Any of these sites can then become places where we remember, that is to say, where we store and retrieve data. This can be data specifically related to knowledge about the Miami River, scientific sorts of information, cultural and political information, information about immigration, statistics, all these kinds of things can be recovered by just walking through the zone and saying, what is significant about this place, asking the image. And so anyway, these mnemonic theaters, these memory theaters from the medieval culture provide a very good relay for the My Story method that we're using to map the zone.
And cybernetics, can you say a word about how that's cybernetic in nature, or whatever, the extending memory in a cybernetic way?
Yeah. Well, of course, there's something digital about this, because the point is that this memory is not, this information is not stored, it's not stored and retrieved in terms of a story, which has a beginning, middle, and end that you have to go through in a linear way, and certainly it's not stored in terms of an argument, which again has a very rigid structure that you have to pass through for the argument to be successful. I mean, this is the linearity of literacy, that our stories and our arguments have to be passed through in a certain rigid sequence. But rather, the memory systems are digital, if you like. They're nonlinear in their structuring, and in fact, what is one of the most marvelous things about people that had these kinds of trained memories is that they could as well recite information backwards as well as forwards, because they're of course accessing it in a kind of digital way. They can start at any point and stop at any point. I mean, there have been modern examples of this. Apparently, I think it was John von Neumann had an amazing memory. I don't remember whether it was Ulysses or what book that he had memorized, but in any case, there's an anecdote about someone said, look, start on page 35 and keep going, until we tell you to stop. And this person could just, through their memory, just, okay, start. And the person would have friend would have the copy of the book there. And sure enough, I mean, word for word, at any point, you want them to recite it backwards, they can recite it backwards. So it's very digital, So the idea of, again, the memory palace really lends itself to to digital systems because of this model of simply accessing any part of the information in any order, and its coherence doesn't come then, in other words, from some kind of linear structure, but the coherence comes from a holistic image, which organizes the information by a holistic kind of emotional atmosphere. And of course, the challenge of our practice is to train people to work with this. I mean, we just can't assume that people can automatically do electricity in some sort of native way any more than we can assume that someone could automatically do calculus. I mean, you have to learn it. Yeah, you have to learn it. It's just that that it's actually a lot easier than most linear alphabetic methods, and it's a lot more pleasant. It's a lot more pleasurable. The biggest difference between schooling in electricity and schooling in literacy is going to be fun. Schooling in electricity is going to involve a lot of play. We'll probably, as a civilization, have to learn how to play again. But right now, most of the ways that playing is performed in digital technology is through killing. So you got Tomb Raider, and what's the motivation for moving through the space? Kill as many electronic blips as you can. Well, all right, so that works as a motivation. But here's where we get into the theme of attraction and repulsion. That part of the issue is, I mean, if we think about schooling today, I mean, certainly there are plenty of schools, plenty of assignments, plenty of students who are being asked to write papers and do linear, alphabetic kinds of projects related to public policy issues, issues of immigration, gun control, religion in the schools. I mean, almost any kind of public issue that you could imagine. Dutifully, people are going about doing research in these questions. The big problem is that nobody cares. The students don't care for the most part, about this information. Even a lot of times the teachers don't care about it in the sense that there's any feeling that one can do anything about it or participate in the formation of any kind of policy, simply because our world is so fragmented, and there's this feeling of hopelessness, or what's called in the literature compassion fatigue, that that we have. I mean, the paradox of our global wired world is that we have more information than we've ever had before about catastrophe, about atrocity, about injustice, both in terms of what's going on right in our own time and also historically what's going on. We now understand that genocide was committed in the American West just as much as it was in Europe in World War II or something. But the big problem of the society of the spectacle is that we have this information, but this information is delivered to us in a form which is a kind of defense mechanism to prevent shock, so that we actually get this information, we don't care. We don't care about it. We're not moved to act. If anything, we're made even more passive by just the hopelessness and the scope of the scale of the problem. So the big challenge and one of the things addressed by the emergency, this new consulting practice that we're developing with the testimonial, is to motivate students to research the information. How does this motivation take place? I mean, it's really a question that goes back to the origins of cinema. One of the relays for us has been Sergei Eisenstein. Eisenstein, learned a great deal from D.W. Griffith, who'd invented montage in American cinema. So Eisenstein learned about montage from Griffith, but he didn't like the politics, the ethics. He didn't like the way Griffith was using this form, and he wanted to improve upon it. And especially Eisenstein is interesting because he was concerned with cinema as we would think of as a kind of electricity, because he was dealing with a society of mostly illiterate people. That is, the literacy rates in the new Soviet Union were extremely low, or the way we might want to look at it would be the orality rate was extremely high. And yet, one of the major documents of the new Soviet Republic was Marx's Das Kapital. Well, no, the peasants and the workers couldn't read Marx, many of them. So how could they know in a sense, the creed of their new society? So Eisenstein wanted to invent a montage cinema that could serve a kind of intellectual dimension, a very strong cognitive, epistemological dimension that would help people understand and reason about the society that they were inventing. So he invented the montage of attractions, and the way the montage of attractions works, I mean, he studied the way in which the common people, oral peoples, illiterate peoples, how they interacted in popular entertainments such as fairs and circuses. And what he noticed was the complexity of attention that such people could manage. Say a three-ring circus. All right, there's something going on in each ring. There's two or three things going on in each ring. There's something going. You're ordering food. You're watching your kids. There's all these things going on. How was that complexity of attention? What could he learn about how to tap into that complexity of attention in cinema? And so he devised this montage, which is taking of fragments and recombining them in various ways to create very evocative, emotionally charged statements. And so we thought, well, this is a very good thing we can learn from tourism, because what we want to think about here